Hi, Dana here from ThriveWith3eyes.com, and you can see the cute little mug in the corner of Swollen Nose Keith Morey from SuperGoodStuff.com, and you were looking at the actually SuperGoodStuff, top 10 list of tips from Keith Morey. We were really just trying to figure out the technical aspects of this whole thing. He's all clogged up and having a tough time talking, but we just wanted to launch a quick little video highlighting his top 10 list. Hi, Keith.
How you doing?
Tell us about your nose. What the heck happened?
Oh,
Are you just going to scare people?
I had a experimental batch of nasal wash from a different manufacturer that I gave him the formulation, but he changed a couple of ingredients.
Yeah.
And Friday I took it, and it just irritated the hell out of my nasal cavity, and obviously I'm not going to use that manufacturer at that formulation.
Well, that's good, and what people don't know probably yet is Keith has this nasal wash that is the nastiest thing you've ever put up your nose or in your ears or in your mouth, but it literally, as far as I can tell, will kill anything it comes anywhere close to. But I've never noticed it being uber irritating. It's not comfortable, and you can tell things die, but I've never noticed that after that first phase of sort of stinging yuckness, it doesn't leave my nasal passages irritated at all.
No, and this one did. And
okay. So we're just quickly. We're going to redo this, but we're trying to get this Google Hangouts technology down. We this time succeeded in having both of us online before we hit the start broadcast button.
Woohoo! Better.
So here's the Super Good Stuff Thrive top 10 list. And without segueing into any other one, let's in 1 minute talk about each one. I want to hear when you heard about it and how you heard about it. Ready? Upregulate body temperature to at least 97.8 before detox.
I discovered that after getting a 90% success rate, but a 10% total failure rate. It took me 2 years to figure out that it was low body temperature. And the reason it was low body temperature because you can't activate even the things I was using to detox properly, and you couldn't eliminate waste material and break down things properly, so it was causing a 10% failure rate. So I finally figured out a way to fix a thyroid problem.
Okay, how long ago was this, and where'd you learn about it?
Oh, it was over a period of years. Probably that occurred somewhere in 2003, 2004.
Okay, so right before I met you. And how'd you learn about it?
It was just, I always had talked to a doctor way back, Dr. Day, and he talked about low body temperature being a factor.
Okay.
And I just never really incorporated it, and it took me a couple of years to figure out it was low body temperature was causing my failure rate.
Because it's interesting. I think a lot of people focus on thyroid and they test their thyroid and they, oh, my thyroid's fine. You look at them going, your thyroid's not fine. But they focus on thyroid instead of low body temperature being this standalone thing that, of course, if you have low body temperature, you have underperforming thyroid. But I think our goal needs to be separating thyroid function as a standalone with underlying low body temperature, and that when you fix the low body temperature, the undiagnosed thyroid issues go away and everything else does better.
That's correct. It's a crucial point.
Okay, so now number 2, support all the organs during any detox protocol, whether it's yours or someone else's, and then let's dovetail that into more detox equals more organ support.
Correct. A lot of practitioners try to adjust, let's fix the liver, kidney, all these separately, but by the time they go to the third one or the second one, the first one's all clogged up again. If you support all of them at the same time, The liver helps the spleen helps the kidneys help the pancreas. All these different organs are communicating to help each other.
And handling the burden collaboratively.
Correct.
They're a team. And
Yeah.
it never made any sense to me, just as a pragmatic mom who figured this out a long time ago, and Keith and I just came together with the same belief system on this, is that you just aren't going to have a kid with autism who's as sickly as they are and out of homeostasis, or someone with chronic fatigue or whatever, and have any of the organs doing well. It just doesn't make sense.
It didn't make sense to me, and from my experience,
You just support them all. You just assume they're floundering. Support them all so that you know you got them online for the detox, which you know is going to increase the burden on all of them.
Correct.
Okay, so now we did 2 and 4. Number 3, do at least 1 liver gallbladder flush before detox and repeat weekly. I want you to take the shortest amount of time you've ever taken to explain a liver gallbladder flush, not in huge detail, but the basics of what it is, the basics of where it came from.
Okay. Well, the gallbladder is the hub of the body. Without it, can't secrete bile to make hormones through digestion of fats.
Okay.
And it's one of the main, there's only 3 primary eliminators: full digestive tract, gallbladder, and urination. Okay? Those are the 3 ways of the body to eliminate waste material.
Well, and women can do it through their vaginal excretions too, I've been told.
I don't think that's like a huge elimination source.
No, but it's just, I think it's under appreciated in women that it's another orifice, which we're going to get into in a minute.
That has to be addressed, which I totally agree.
Totally. Okay. Keep going, though. Keep going. Sorry.
So we got the gallbladder pretty much wired. So you want to go to
so what do they do? Like, just like, I know you do a specific amino mix, but what's your classic liver gallbladder flush that's been around for 20 years?
Oh, they do Epsom salts a couple of times. A couple hours later, they do olive oil, grapefruit. The next day, like 8-10 hours later, they do Epsom salts, and an hour or 2 hours later, they do Epsom salts. Basically, what happens is...
This is something that has been around for decades. People have recognized that this helps for decades. I have yet to see anybody do one that doesn't end up with little green, little yellow, little stuff coming out in the toilet. They're like, what the heck is that? That's totally different in the way that it looks from, like when you do parasite cleanses and all that stuff. It just looks like totally different stuff coming from a different place. But there's tons of recipes on that. Keith does a very specific recipe that if you work with him, you will do. But anybody out there, just do a liver gallbladder flush. Just find the stuff and do it. Okay, 5, there's only pain where there is a nest of bugs and inflammation. And this has been my mantra long before I met you. But explain, you know what? I think Crystal's our little buddy's on the line. Now that we can't tell our story now that I said her name. So nothing. Just tell stories about that. God, this is pathetic. We need to do this after.
About inflammation and bugs?
And pain that you don't ever have. Like we had a different friend, who had a brain tumor, benign, interpituitary, and had it removed. She had like 2 years of solid headache pain, had it removed. And then after 8 years, it started coming back. Had a year and a half of the exact same pain. Was ready to go to ER to do something to get rid of this tumor. And then we're at Autism 1, and I get a call saying that she did exactly what you told her to do with the nasal wash, and that she's heading to ER because the pain is so bad. So you say, do more. You're like, do more. I'm like, oh my God. Bottom line, she did exactly what Keith told her to do. By the next morning, the pain was gone. It's been gone for 3 weeks. And the takeaway is that when you have pain, it's not in the absence of bugs and inflammation.
Absolutely.
They're one and the same.
One and the same, and the inflammation and the pain will go away as the bugs decrease.
So what you find, and you did this with my tooth, it's weird because now it feels fantastic. It's so strange, but the whole time I was at Autism One from almost the moment that I landed, which is interesting energetically because it was definitely the culmination of 3 months of craziness with this group of people. But my tooth started hurting, and it was just hurting like crazy. And you gave me the Paramunes, which it's like the clove and the cinnamon. It actually tastes pretty good. It smells good. And I put it on my tooth, and without any anti-inflammatories, just the topical application of that made the pain go away. Except for when it got in my eye, and then that was a whole other thing.
Well, you're not supposed to.
I know. But that was kind of a wake-up call for me. I mean, I've always known that pain was because of these bugs and inflammation, this nest combo. I think that's true of cancer. I think it's true of all these things. But I had never witnessed having an antimicrobial that went directly to the pain source eliminate the pain because of the downregulation of the microbes in real time. And that was a real takeaway for me.
It's an amazing product.
No, but it's an amazing concept, you know? And that's one of the reasons why I really like the lightrelief.com product, which I finally nudged you into working with after I don't know how many years.
I think it's a viable source, especially for liver gallbladder flushes.
Well, I just think anytime you're attempting to take a body part that's full of microbes and full of coagulated blood, inflammation, and full of a new energetic set point of lessened flow, lessened neurovascularity, anytime you can go in with heat and biophotons, like the light relief, you give yourself a leg up. It's like a free tool.
Absolutely.
And I, like in the presentation I did at Thrive Summit number 11 for all the docs and everybody, I said, just find a spot on your body every day that either hurts or you're targeting and put the light relief on it. If you're doing a liver gallbladder flush, do it on the liver. If you're working on your kidneys, do it on the kidneys. If your bowels aren't moving, do it on your stomach. If your head hurts, do it on your head. If your arm hurts, do it on your arm. If you have no pain, do it on your heart. You know?
Yep. I think it's a great product, and it's inexpensive.
And you and I are not going to, I'm not going to collaborate with you on anybody who doesn't have one in their arsenal, because we had this problem with someone recently who only did a couple of products and didn't have a gallbladder and ended up in pain. And I think if she had the light relief, she could have put it on there and it would have blown it out and she would have been fine because she was too afraid to do the other stuff. But I think they need to have that ready to use, just lecturing you.
I totally agree.
Yeah, but it took me like 3.5 years to get you there, you bullheaded pain in my butt. Okay. Number 6, MSM Detox with Headache Tolerance is a valuable tool in healing, and it all started with the MSM. So this one, slow down and take a moment on.
Okay, MSM is probably the third most powerful product in the world for overall health.
What are the first two?
It's a somatostatin inhibitor and my Infinite Energy. But let's go to what MSM is.
Okay.
MSM hydrates you because it.
What is MSM? It's
methylsulfonylmethane, which is a naturally occurring sulfur.
Which is huge. Sulfur is huge.
It's huge.
Okay.
Okay, so what it does, it hydrates by helping the potassium-sodium pump with the sulfur, allowing you to get nicer, fuller skin and have the cells get fed better and eliminate better. Okay, it removes heavy metals, and it puts flexibility back in between proteins, allowing your organs, your skin, and everything, so you become flexible for the rest of your life.
Okay, what's the headache thing about?
The headache is where you got dehydrated and you've trapped waste material in those cells, and the cells aren't, functioning properly. And when you hydrate them, they can pump the waste material out, and for a day or two you get a headache, and that's it.
Okay, so that was not a very good explanation. I'll explain it. Keith uses MSM, and what he does is he titrates people up at the very beginning of his protocol, where he says, okay, now you're going to take MSM until you get a headache. You're going to take 8. No headache, take 16. No headache, take 32. You're a freak of nature, take 60. We have a buddy who I think is at 90 now trying to get to that headache. And I think I went up to 90 to get a headache. Oops. But the goal is to push the system to the point where this toxic burst gives you a headache, right?
Correct.
And
because
you cut that off your list, and then you put them on a maintenance dose of sulfur, and you know that you've burst out that toxic load based on upregulating the sulfur, and now you're going to have a maintenance dose of sulfur behind the scenes so it doesn't start building up again.
That's correct.
And then that's a foundational piece of your protocol, this
Absolutely.
behind-the-scenes sulfur.
Because it also keeps bad guys from growing very well because it's a sulfur base.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk to those moms out there that are YASCO people that know the YASCO protocol. They know their mutations. They're thinking CVS, COMT. Oh, wait, I don't know which mutation it is, but I know I can't tolerate sulfur. There's methyl donors and sulfur donors, and I have to watch out for that. And I think when your energetic field and mental field are YASCO thought process, you're right. You totally have to watch out for that stuff. I think when you're doing it Keith's way, it's like pushing through almost. And one of the things we've talked a lot about, Keith, and you're doing more of, is making sure that these people have molybdenum on board and that they have plenty at home, so if they push the MSM and they push the headache as they move forward to help handle some of these genetic mutations, they use the molybdenum, and Chris Shade talked about that too.
That's correct, and you have to take vitamin C, rutin, and potassium. The rutin and potassium protect the kidneys from heavy metals that may be dumped out of the cell,
Okay.
and the vitamin C with sulfur makes new collagen to repair any damage from yanking heavy metals and things out of different locations.
Okay, so as a side note, when you see these 10-year-olds with the wrinkles, is that just lack of collagen, and this could help with that?
I would say there was some correlation there.
Okay, so moving on. And again, this is pre-11 a.m., so neither one of us are at our best. Okay, paramines are your best friend. And what?
We have 8 minutes.
Okay, paramines are your best friend and your microbe's worst enemy. Go.
Parammunes are like 7 or 8. Each bottle has 7 or 8 different essential oils.
Okay.
Then
they're ozonated, right? They're carrying that oxygen.
The plus is ozonated. The other ones aren't. The plus, if the oil itself doesn't kill the bad guy,
Okay.
when the bad guy takes on the oil as a food, the oxygen pops up and kills an anaerobic cell.
Like a Trojan horse.
Like a Trojan horse.
Concept
The other one is more for the egg, spore, and larvae of these parasites that are in your system.
So you believe people have parasites. You just approach it a completely different way. You have this 11-day detox that you don't have people looking through their poop. You just change the milieu around the parasites. They feel better, and the parasite load is reduced.
Absolutely.
Because the body doesn't support their...
At a show, I can give like 40 drops to somebody that has a cold or flu,
Yep.
and literally in an hour they're 90% better.
Okay. So parammunes. And parammunes is the one that we met over, because it was Klinghart's Rysel that he was bringing over in his suitcase. Oops. Okay.
Yep.
Or not. We don't know that for a fact. We just know that you were supposed to be selling him and he wasn't supposed
Yeah.
to. But now that you're buddies, it's all good. Okay.
He's buying.
DHEA pregnenolone is the master hormone precursor and valuable.
DHA pregnenolone, and mine's a little different than anything else on the market
Okay.
because it goes sublingually to the blood vessels, to every single cell in a very short time.
Okay.
And it will get rid of a headache in like 30 seconds.
Usually, right. Okay.
That's proof. But what's nice about it is it doesn't go back through very little goes back through the liver.
Okay.
So it doesn't force the liver to make hormones, or not hormones, to go to the adrenals. And the adrenals aren't forced to make hormones that the body doesn't need. But what it does do, it frees up the adrenals, because probably 40 to 60% of their workload is the number 1 and 2 hormone of the bloodstream, which is DHEA pregnenolone, which allows it to have a factory that can produce other hormones that it's been neglecting because of the 1 and 2. It allows it to balance your hormone levels better based on what your body needs.
So the DHEA pregnenolone actually falls in the feed the organs category, but not by feeding the organs, but relieving the burden on the organs by giving it the precursor of all these hormones that it otherwise would be having to produce.
Correct. And pregnenolone is the master of all hormones, but it builds the myelin sheath around nerve endings. It memory enhancer. It's the number 1 memory enhancer of any steroid or precursor to steroid by 100 times.
Wow. Okay. So now, because we only have like 2 minutes, each orifice must be addressed individually for microbial growth. Go.
That's correct. Because a cavity is hard for the immune system to keep in check.
Okay.
So you need to help it out, especially when there's an overgrowth.
Okay.
So, sinus, gallbladder, vaginal, rectum are all orifices.
In your eyes, in your ears, and trying to take it up to the liver. Anywhere you can access a different spot in the body, you're going for it.
That's correct.
And part of it is Keith's one of the few people I know that operates from my hotel analogy concept, although Michael Payne does now too, which is your body's a hotel for bugs. If you chase it from one place, it'll just go to the other place unless you're chasing it from there too.
Correct. And
you got to give it exit
route.
route.
You do them all at the same time.
You can't bomb the 23rd floor and have no elevators or stairwells available.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And now on, last but not least, each orifice can be used for delivery of supplements and antimicrobials. And I think you do this better than almost anybody. You put it there. If your nose is the problem, put it in your nose. If your ear is the problem, put it in your nose and your ears and your mouth. If you're yeah.
Yeah, you have to do every orifice, and when you do
what about enemas? You're doing more enemas these days too and having success.
Especially with Lyme situations where you have to do it like 3 times a day, yes.
Oh, and I forgot to tell you, I'm on the phone with Kathy, and I'm on the phone with this other mom, and we have a kid who just did the liver gallbladder flush overnight, and she was kind of in a panic because he wasn't pooping. And so we're like, okay, do an enema, and all of a sudden she went, oh my God, I have to call you back. I guess he barely made it to the toilet and had himself a party right there.
Well, it worked really well, and I was really happy about that. So.
Well, and I have yet to find a mom who the fear about the liver gallbladder flush isn't totally gone on the backside, and where they're like, that just wasn't that big of a deal. The hardest part is getting the amino mix or the Epsom salt in the mouth of the kid, and she did it in the middle of the night. So she just had him go to sleep, and then had practiced having him swallow stuff when he was still too asleep to really get it, work like a charm.
That was actually a brilliant concept, and orchestrated it unbelievably well.
That was a brilliant concept. That was her all day, and if she wants to talk about it, we'll get her on.
I have to go because I have another.
Love you, Keith. We like you better when you're not all snotty and.
Oh, I tell you something. I don't like it. I never like this, and I'm not sick now. I just.
I'm glad you learned on yourself, though. Most people would have sent out cases and then been like,
"No,
really?
I don't let it. That's going to hurt anybody." Okay.
Okay, so why don't you hang up and I'll. Bye.
Bye.
Are we still on? Okay. We're still on, and now it's almost 10 o'clock, so I'm just going to pretend we started at 10 and now you're not going to, I'll give you a quick little flash of me. I don't know if Crystal's on there. So, 10 a.m. I'm going to have to figure out how to get some more people on here. Or maybe we'll start again. Okay. If anybody's watching this, I'm going to start again and put a link in the same place.